Hey everyone, it's Jake Hall, the Manufacturing Millennial. We are here at ABB Robotics at their US headquarters, sitting in their Customer Experience Center. I'm here talking with Ali Raja, head of the industries here at Robotics. How are you doing today?
Very good, thanks Jake. How are you doing?
Doing great. You know, it's really exciting because your position has to be just really thrilling all the time. You are overseeing all the other different industries outside of automotive, really where robotics is going into.
Yes, this is actually a very exciting role. I love what we do here at the Industries Group because we see many different kind of applications. We are, looking at new things where robotics is entering now. For example, logistics, packaging, but also, some new and exciting areas such as construction is a new one where robots are playing a very active and innovative role.
Yeah. So when we look at the change in industries, when would you say we started to see more of adoption of industrial and collaborative robots entering these new industries, right? It was always for decades and decades, industrial robots started in the automotive, but then it branched out. When did that really begin?
I mean, there's been a transition. So if you look at last 40 years, robots have mainly been locked inside factories, but I would say in the last 10 years, the growth outside of factories has accelerated a lot. And that's thanks to innovation. So the products are becoming more capable, easier to use, easier to integrate. So that was a big factor in making this shift. And now we see that, the next 5 years or so, our robots going to be in all the different areas outside of factories and typical manufacturing spaces.
So what does that look like? When we look at new industries, if you were to put a point 10 years down the road, what industries were you saying are not heavily adopting robots now? We're going to see some really cool technology and integration in 10 years from now.
Super exciting. I think 10 years from now, you'll see a lot more adoption in professional services industries such as life sciences, healthcare, robots in different types of labs, whether it's chemical labs or food testing labs. Also, retail environment. Logistics is already growing very fast, but it'll continue to grow even more. And I think we will see more and more robotic applications in areas like construction, welding, wherever there's an acute shortage of workers or skilled labor, that's where robots will help. And again, even places where you want to keep people away from dull, dirty, dangerous jobs, and robots combined with, some of the AI software applications that make robots more capable, this is going to make the big change.
And that's kind of a great follow-up to my next question that I had. When we look at what's changed, right? Industrial robots have been around for a long time, but now we're seeing them being integrated in new industries. What has changed in terms of technology and demand that is now resulting in these coming in here? And what needs to change around robotics still to make it so we can start pushing into these new industries outside the four walls of that factory?
I think one of the main factors is innovation. So with innovation, we were able to make robots easier to use, easier to implement. So you don't have to be a highly trained and skilled robotics programmer to set up a simple robot application. Another thing was whenever you introduce a robotic system in an existing landscape, that used to create a lot of disruption.
Yeah.
The integration was not very easy, but nowadays, examples like Robot Studio is a great example of a digital tool that already helps you to plan and organize and test everything in a digital environment, which makes it easy to implement. We're also moving towards new generation of controllers, and new controls architecture means that you can control not only the robot motion, but also the sensors and all the peripheral equipment with one controller.
Yeah.
And that makes the integration very easy. Less engineering, less effort. And this is what makes it easy for smaller businesses, for people who've never used a robot before, to adopt their first robot.
Yeah. So how do we tell that story? How do we get, company XYZ that's working in a warehouse industry or, in the food and bev or the pharma or the lab? how do we show them that this can happen, right? There's only so much where we say, hey, here's a video, here's a case study, but how do we get people to really begin to adopt robotics and say, listen, this is the future. You should be excited about it. You should jump on board.
There's a couple of great examples. It's demonstrations, tests, validations. They really help. And even in 2024, there have been a couple of examples where we got someone who has no prior welding experience to start welding with a robot within 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Just basic lead-through programming, and then we show them how to go from point A to B, and so that is really convincing. You can think of small bakeries. Mm-hmm. They've never had a robot before, but they want to do some simple pick-and-place operation. So the item picking solution that we launched last year with AI, that is an example of where a robot can handle all different types of products without any teaching or learning and without prior knowledge of what you're going to handle. So robotics, AI combined with 3D vision, that makes it very easy to adopt a new robotic application in any environment, actually.
Yeah, no, I love that. So if you were to pick the next big industry, right, that's gonna trump the automotive on your side of things, to say there will be more robots in this industry in the next 3 to 4 decades over automotive. Where would you put your basket of eggs?
I think everything will have more than automotive.
It's just good. Everything's going to overcome automotive. I love that optimism.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, when we look at space, for example, would that fall underneath your industry segment? If we were to industry, are there any applications right now that you actually see happening around space?
Space and aerospace are both very interesting, but right now I think space is even more a hotbed for new robotic applications and innovation. There's a lot happening in space. There's almost like, if you look at the West Coast, I call it the space race.
Yeah.
There are so many companies who are innovating, and they're coming up with new manufacturing techniques, 3D printing, all kinds of different new methods of manufacturing parts, prototypes, and they need very high variety, low volume, high mix kind of setup where you need to come up with new parts every day.
Yeah.
And that's where robots with ultra accuracy, like our collaborative robots that we offer, are coming in very handy. Also, again, there's a lot of AI being used in these applications. Digital tools for planning, programming, like Robot Studio, are very relevant. And we see that aerospace and space both require robots which are extremely accurate, and where it's easy to integrate them in existing infrastructure. So I think this will be big once building rockets and spacecrafts become mainstream.
Yeah, I love that. As a space enthusiast and fan myself, I just can't wait till we have just robots consistently just pumping out more and more more and more rockets, and then even sending robots to space, right? They're going to be the ones that are making our homes and all of our resources out there. We're not going to be shipping that up there. We need robots in space to make that for us.
Very exciting.
One final question. If you go back to all the different applications that you helped customers on with industry, is there one that comes to mind where a robot was never used in that way before, but after you had it, that customer was they said, wow, where has this been my entire life? Is there a fun story that you can share?
I think there's a lot of examples. In fact, this is what drives us every day, is to do things better with robots. We created this industries group because the goal was to find new ways of doing things better with robots. Yeah. This is what we do every day. And there's been a number of examples in logistics, in material handling. I mean, if you just take welding using collaborative robots, this is something nobody was talking about it 2-3 years ago, and now it's becoming very, very popular, using a cobot for welding. Mm-hmm. Right? And this addresses a huge shortage of welders that we have in the US and, in fact, all over the world.
Yeah.
So that, I would say, is a great example of, nobody thought of this. I think I've never heard of cobot welding 3 years ago.
Yeah, and now it's all over.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, breaking down the walls of where robots typically stand in factories and bringing them to all different industries. Ali, I really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much.
Thank
you, course, if you want to learn more information about what I was doing within the different industries here at ABB Robotics or other interviews that we're having here, we'll have some more information down below. We'll We'll see you soon.